Alright, so how are you feeling today?
I'm excited.
Me too. I'm feeling good, excited, nervous.
What is your plan for today?
Just go get a happy lunch.
So तपाईहरुलाई थाहा छ आजको एपिसोडमा के भइरहेछ?
Sort of, yeah.
Alright, so in today's episode, we want to talk about the experiences of the LGBTQ plus community on the internet. But first, before we start, I just want to ask, what is pride for you and why is it important?
As a transgender woman, मेरो पहिचान मेरो लैङ्गिक पहिचान चाहिँ कुनै लज्जाको कुरा होइन. It's not something to be ashamed भन्ने जुन म भनेर जुन एउटा मैले एउटा कदम लिएको छु जुन मैले एउटा हुन्छ नि एउटा पाइला चालेको छु त्यो नै मेरो लागि प्राइड हो भने म चाहिँ त्यसरी बुझ्छु.
I think we're like very similar to what she said. Like humans, we come in different forms, shapes, sizes, colors, and so we're shamed different aspects of it. So this much, we're looking at our vulnerabilities and our flaws and saying that we're not ashamed of it. And I think that's the pride in it.
It's a very common question, so I just wanted to ask, is there a right way to ask the LGBTQ plus community about their sexuality?
I think the first question would be like, why do you need to ask, right? There's always this assumption, or someone, your community or certain community, some association or some without even knowing about the person. So I think again, it's very natural because we've been brought up in that society where we have that assumption, and especially within the LGBTQI plus community, there are certain characteristics which have been associated with it. So there is a curiosity by us, and you just want to ask. So you don't need to ask someone, and then if the person is comfortable enough, then the person will tell you. I think for me, it would be better if the question, so you're asking it in a very respectable manner and it comes from a place of respect. And then there's always a safe space, right? So you will not be asking a question in a public space, so maybe in a private space. In a private space, the other person can just walk away if they feel uncomfortable. So I think there are certain cues that you can take to make the other person comfortable and also ask the question. You have to ask yourself, why do you want to know?
Right, म पनि धेरै भनेको कुरामा सहमत छु हैन. पहिला सुरु त कुनै व्यक्तिको यौनिकता तपाईलाई किन चासो हैन त्यो जानकारी त्यो मान्छेले जानकारी पाएर चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्ने पहिला सुरु आफैले नै प्रश्न गर्नुपर्छ हैन. जस्तै भनौँ बाटोमा मान्छेको हिँडिरहेको छ रे अनि हाम्रो समाजले चाहिँ एउटा महिला यस्तो देखिनुपर्छ र पुरुष यस्तो देखिन्छ है भन्ने जुन मान्यता भन्दा अलिकति डिफरेन्ट थियो, अलिकति फरक त्यो मान्छे देखियो भने यो मान्छे केटी भन्ने जुन खालको त्यो इट्स भेरी अननेसेसरी हैन. अनि यदि त्यो मान्छेलाई सहज महसुस हुन्छ भने त्यो मान्छे स्वयं नै तपाईले भन्छ तपाईले धेरै मिहिनेत गरिराख्नै पर्दैन हैन. म पनि आफै पनि अब म आफूलाई पारलैङ्गिक महिला ट्रान्स वुमेन भनेर त एकदम खुलेर नै मिडियामा भनिरहेको छु, सामाजिक सञ्जालमा भनिरहेको छु. तर म अब कुनै पनि नयाँ ठाउँमा गएँ भने म चाहिँ नमस्कार मेरो नाम रुक्साना कपाली, म चाहिँ ट्रान्सजेन्डर वुमेन हो भनेर त्यसरी भनिदिइहाल्दिनँ कि त्यही भएर सर्वप्रथम त व्यक्ति जो हो उहाँलाई नै निर्णय गर्न दिउँ न उहाँले भन्न चाहनुहुन्छ हुँदैन भनेर. तर भनिहाल्नु लाइक सोधिहाल्नु पर्यो भने पनि अब अवस्था हेरेर त्यसको जरुरत हेरेर अनि सम्मानजनक ढङ्गले सोध्यो भने चाहिँ त्यसरी चाहिँ सोध्न सकिन्छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ.
Just adding to her point, because your attraction, sexuality, gender, I mean, these are two different things. So when we talk about gender, it might be seen, but sexuality is very inherent. You don't know who you are attracted towards. So, I feel like in terms of gender, there are some visual cues. Curiosity, but just in terms of your sexuality or your orientation, it's such a private and personal thing. Like, why would anyone want to know who do I go to bed with at night or at any other moment of time?
What is the most annoying thing that the cisgender community have asked you?
Sure, I think annoying, but I think the questions are sometimes it comes from a place of ignorance. Ignorance, where they're so curious, they don't know certain कुराहरु अनि त्यसपछि सोधिहालौँ न भनेर त्यो फ्याट सोधिहाल्छ अनि you're just very uncomfortable with the position. Like, okay, for me, I think it would be like, who's the, like how does it work in terms of like your sexual life and When we talk about like relationship or sex, we think about like a penis entering a vagina. I mean, sex is so much more than that, right? Physical intimacy is so much more than that. And then again, when we talk about love and relationship, it's so much more than just physical intimacy, Nita. So curious, when people boil it down to just like a penis and a vagina, and then like ask you certain questions, and I think those are some of the questions that I feel a bit uncomfortable answering, and I'm like wondering, why would you ask that? I mean, you can just Google them, right?
Right. मलाई खासमा अधिकांश प्रश्नहरू नै एकदम annoying लाग्छ. Very honestly, अधिकांश प्रश्नहरू annoying लाग्छ. किन भन्दा पनि हैन, मेरो विचारमा जुन cisgender person भन्छ वा लैङ्गिक व्यक्तिहरू भन्छ हैन, उहाँहरूले अधिकांश जुन हामीहरूले प्रश्न गर्छन् हैन, त्यो प्रश्न जान्न खोजेको भन्दा पनि कस्तो भन्दाखेरि हाम्रो सामाजिक संरचना छ, त्यो संरचनाले उहाँहरूको दिमागमा चाहिँ मान्छे भएपछि यस्तो हुनुपर्छ है भन्ने एउटा दिमागमा बसिसकेको छ. र जब उहाँहरूले हामीलाई देख्नुहुन्छ त्यो मान्यता भित्र अटाएको देख्न सक्नु भएन. अनि ला अब त्यो खालको विचलन पैदा भएर चाहिँ उहाँहरूले चाहिँ प्रश्न आएको हुनुपर्छ होइन. मेरो विचारमा जबसम्म हामी त्यो मान्यतालाई नै हुन्छ नि, त्यो जुन एउटा हामीहरूलाई बहिष्करणमा पार्ने मान्यता भन्छु म, एउटा सामाजिक संरचना जसले चाहिँ हामी पारलैङ्गिक व्यक्तिहरूलाई बहिष्करणमा पारेको छ, त्यो प्रकारको सामाजिक संरचना नै जब परिवर्तन हुँदैन तबसम्म चाहिँ कति धेरै क्युरियोसिटी, कति धेरै क्वेसन्स भन्ने जति पनि कुराहरू आइरहेको छ नि, त्यो खासमा चाहिँ क्वेसन्सहरू नभइकन चाहिँ नि मेरो सामाजिक मान्यता अनुसार चाहिँ मान्छे भएपछि यस्तो हुनुपर्छ, मैले तिमीलाई त्यो मान्यतामा देख्न सकिनँ, अब के होला त भनेर उनीहरूको मनमा चाहिँ एउटा खालको भुइँसानो गएको जस्तो म चाहिँ त्यसरी गर्छु.
No, I think it's like annoying when they're asking questions, curiosity, बुझ्न चाहने, they just want to point out that there is some difference, and I think few questions are that they get more annoying.
How has the internet influenced your life?
खासमा इन्टरनेट भनेको चाहिँ म चाहिँ एकदम महत्त्वपूर्ण, मेरो जीवनको एउटा महत्त्वपूर्ण बाटो मान्छु. किनभने म जस्तो समाजमा हुर्केँ वा म मेरो बाल्यकालमा भनौँ न यसरी पारलैङ्गिक व्यक्तिहरू पनि हुन्छन् है भन्ने प्रकारको अहिले पनि समाजमा हाम्रो त्यस्तो खालको विचार स्थापित भइसकेकै छैन होइन. ल यस्तो खालको अङ्ग लिएर जन्मिने मान्छेहरू चाहिँ पुरुष हुन्छन्, यस्तो खालको अङ्ग लिएर जन्मिने मान्छेहरू महिला हुन्छन्, सक्यो, द्याट्स इट. महिला पुरुष एकअर्कासँग बिहे गर्छन्, सक्यो होइन. त्यस्तो खालको मान्यतामा हुर्केको जब म त्यो मान्यताभित्र अटाएको मैले महसुस गरेँ, ममा चाहिँ एउटा विचलन पैदा भयो कि लाइक म किन यस्तो भएको होला, म मात्रै यस्तो हुँ कि भन्ने एकदम मलाई एकदम विचलन पैदा भएको थियो. यसको बारेमा अरू कसैसँग मैले कुरा गर्ने ठाउँ पनि थिएन. मैले कुरा गरेँ भने मलाई अपशब्दहरू भन्नुहुन्थ्यो होला, उहाँ जुन हामी समाजमा गाली गलौजको रूपमा प्रयोग गर्ने शब्दहरूले मलाई सम्बोधन गरिन्थ्यो होला भन्ने मलाई एकदम डर थियो. त्यो बेला मेरो एउटा मात्र सहारा भनेको इन्टरनेट थियो होइन. अहिले त हातमा मोबाइल छ, एन्ड्रोइड छ होइन, ल्यापटप छ, घरमा वाइफाई छ, त्यहाँ सजिलै छ. म सानो हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ कस्तो थियो भन्दा कम्प्युटरहरू साउहरूको मात्रै हुन्थ्यो. मलाई कम्प्युटरहरू साउ दिन्छ त दै भन्ने त्यस्तो खालको मलाई त्यस्तो खालको सोच थियो होइन. अनि इन्टरनेट चलाउने साइबरमा गएर म कतिवटा साइबरमा गएँ. मोस्टली चाहिँ त्यो मङ्गल बजारमा भाइडिगा भन्ने पछाडि साइबर थियो के भन्दा, अनि त्यो साइबरमा चाहिँ जहिले एक ग्राउन्ड कम्प्युटर थियो नि, एउटा कम्प्युटर चाहिँ अलिकति साइडमा कुन्नामा थियो होइन. त्यहाँ चाहिँ कोही मान्छे बस्नु बित्तिकै के हेरेर छ भने देख्नु नमिल्ने त्यो कम्प्युटरमा कुनै पाउला छ भने म पुरा उड्दै बस्थेँ कि. अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ हुन्छ नि मैले LGBTI भने यस्तो पो रहेछ होइन, मान्छेको जेन्डरमा कति विविधतापूर्ण हुँदो रहेछ भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ मैले त्यहाँबाट जानकारी पाएपछि एउटा त मैले जानकारी पाएँ जुन चाहिँ मैले समाजबाट, हाम्रो शिक्षा प्रणालीबाट वा अरू कतैबाट पाउन सकेको थिएन त्यो अवस्थामा. अर्को कुरा चाहिँ मैले आफू जस्तो मान्छेहरू भेट्न पाएँ होइन. एउटा चाहिँ इन्टरनेटले एनोनिमिटी पनि दियो कि मैले आफ्नो रियल पहिचान राखेर चाहिँ इन्टरनेटमा जानुपर्ने अवस्था थिएन. मैले आफ्नो लाइक छ नि नामहरू जुन वास्तविक नामहरू लुकाएर चाहिँ नि एउटा एनोनमस आइडेन्टिटी बनाएर चाहिँ म इन्टरनेटमा गएर आफू जस्तै अरू मान्छेहरू पनि भेटेँ जो अरू पनि एनोनमस थियो. त्यसपछि भनेपछि मैले एउटा सहारा पनि पाएँ भनौँ न इन्टरनेटबाट.
मिलेनियल र जेनजीको बिचमा 1996 so I was born. So growing up, the internet did shape most of my youth or like teenage years. Not just in terms of my identity, but in terms of like specific gender identity, but in terms of like who I am as a person. Because it allowed me different platforms to express my views, my writings. So I used to write Siani Batan, I used to keep journals, and it felt better when I could put it out into the world, and I think that made me very confident as a writer. Just in terms of the diversity that you could see in the internet, I think आफूमा पनि कतिले biasnessहरू हुन्छ नि त. So त्यो हिसाबमा चाहिँ I think internet helps you to understand that there are different opinions or different approaches to life. I think that shapes your thought as well. There's good and the bad with the internet. But, I mean, I think it has shaped all of us. Most of us, let's say, most of us who have access to internet.
मान्छेहरूले जब इन्टरनेटको कुरा गर्छन् होइन इन्टरनेटले पहुँच दिएको छ जुन अरू सायद जुन एउटा भौतिक चाहिँ भौतिक रूपमा जुन कुरा चाहिँ अलिकति गाह्रो छ पहुँच गर्नलाई इन्टरनेटमा एकचोटि ब्याङ्कमा खिच्यो भने ब्याङ्कमा आइहाल्छ छ कति धेरै कुरा आइहाल्छ पहुँचको हिसाबले त एकदमै फाइदा त गरेको छ इन्टरनेट भनेको एउटा माध्यम हो कि इन्टरनेट भनेको हाम्रो समाजभन्दा छुट्टै कुरा चाहिँ होइन इन्टरनेटमा जति पनि मान्छेहरू आउँछ हाम्रो समाजबाट नै आउँछन् त्यही भएर कति मान्छेले के भन्छ भन्दा इन्टरनेट भएर चाहिँ यस्तो यस्तो कुरा बढ्यो यस्तो कुरा धेरै भयो इन्टरनेटले निम्ति आयो भनेर भन्छ इन्टरनेटले निम्ति आएको होइन जस्तै अब सुरक्षित असुरक्षित म पारलैङ्गिक व्यक्ति भएको कारणले म सुरक्षित छु कि इन्टरनेटमा सुरक्षित छु कि छैन भन्ने कुरा म समाजमा सुरक्षित छु कि छैन भन्ने कुराले नै भर पर्छ म समाजमा सुरक्षित छैन मलाई समाजमा अवहेलना हुन्छ र त्यही समाजकै मान्छेहरू नै इन्टरनेटमा आउने हो नि त इन्टरनेटमा एकदम नयाँ प्रकारको के भन्छ नयाँ एउटा जमात हुने अनि भौतिक समाजमा चाहिँ एकदम नयाँ जमात हुने त्यस्तो होइन जुन चाहिँ हाम्रो समाज छ समाजकै मान्छेहरू त्यहाँ आउने एउटा माध्यम मात्र फरक हो नि त अब बाटोमा हिँड्दैछ बाटोमा जिस्काउने अब फेसबुकमा देख्यो फेसबुकमा कमेन्ट लेखेर जिस्काउने माध्यम फरक हो तर जिस्काउनु त त्यो मान्छेहरू त त्यही नै हुन् नि त होइन त्यही भएर चाहिँ मेरो विचारमा चाहिँ इन्टरनेट चाहिँ एउटा माध्यम हो यसले चाहिँ बढाउने घटाउने भन्दा पनि हाम्रो समाजको यथार्थ रूप नै देखाएको हो हाम्रो समाज विविधकारी छ हाम्रो समाजले हामीलाई अवहेलना गर्दछ भने त्यो एउटा इन्टरनेटको माध्यमबाट त्यो प्रस्तुत मात्र भएको हो त्यो हाम्रो जुन भौतिक जुन एभ्रिडे लाइफ भन्दा चाहिँ कुनै पनि फरक छ जस्तो चाहिँ म ठान्दिनँ
No, I think very similar to what Ruksana said, and this might add that it gives you both power and responsibility in terms of कसरी act गर्ने अनि धेरै केसहरुमा चाहिँ जुन रुक्सानले भने जस्तै समाजमा कति धेरै त्यो different fractions of ideas and opinionsहरु छ so one might not be very one might not feel very comfortable sharing those publicly or some people might feel comfortable sharing this publicly तर इन्टरनेटमा गएपछि जुन एउटा blank profile picture पछाडि बसेर they can target people नि त so I think त्यो चाहिँ एउटा weapon चाहिँ it does give them and so त्यो हिसाबमा चाहिँ some people might face more brutality of the bad things of the internet and त्यो हिसाबमा I think the LGBTQI+ community are a very easy target पनि I think अब हामी recent trendहरु नै हेरिरह्यो भने last 1-2 yearsमा there were so many TikTokमा viral हुने videosहरुदेखि लिएर Facebookमा trollsहरुदेखि लिएर one person just says it so casually and then there are like 1,000 other people who just like it or reshare it because they're like हामीले त भने हैन नि यो त हामीले कसैको opinion share मात्र गरेको but it does impact एउटा person it also helps you to connect with different people and also form your own community or a communal space भनौं अब especially early Kathmanduकै कुरा गर्दा not everyone has the privilege to come out or have queer friends or meet up and just have those conversations त्यो हिसाबमा चाहिँ इन्टरनेटको niche cornersहरुमा or just like Facebook Messenger groupहरुमा Instagramमा you find that space and you have that conversation and I think especially during the pandemic time where all of us were in our house त्यो हिसाबमा there were so many cases where so mental health of queer people were more affected because they might not feel safe in their house space and जुन एउटा space छ त्यो पनि अब you can't physically go elsewhere and त्यसो घरमै बसिरहनु पर्यो त्यो हिसाबमा internet became a space where they were like to connect to other people more so yeah I think it's such a tricky way because it's good at the same time but it also has the potential to be bad.
Without making it even more serious, like we're gonna do something lighter, right? So in this next section, we will test your knowledge on the LGBT facts from Nepal and around the world.
Oh gosh!
Wow!
So we will ask you a few questions, and you have to answer them. It's a buzzer round, so you have to press the buzzer and answer the question.
Okay.
Simple.
Can you lose, please?
Okay. The first question is. In what year did the Supreme Court order the government to end discrimination against LGBT?
Can I say? Do you want to say together?
Let's say it together.
2007.
Alright,
Can we share
awesome.
that point?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So one each, right? Who are the first couple to register same-sex marriage in Nepal?
I don't think there's
Let's
no one that's registered.
register. I mean, is it a trick question?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay, because I think legal say like same-sex marriage or marriage equality is not recognized in Nepal. So there hasn't been legal certification or marriage certificate on China. Or let's say social wedding or say until I think I don't
I don't think there is anyone.
Okay, so Monica, Shai, and Ramesh Yogi. So it's a little tricky question.
Do I still get the point?
So I think nobody answers, so nobody gets the point. Alright, on to the next question. In what year was the original LGBT rainbow pride flag created?
Like 70s, I think. No, I don't know. I mean, like there's no okay. So in the 70s, okay, is it in the 70s?
Yes, it was. It's in 1978.
Yay! Do I get
Yes, of course.
Okay.
You get the full point. You get 70s.
Thank you.
What was the first European country to legalize same-sex marriage?
Go for it.
No, we didn't.
I'm also not sure.
Denmark.
I thought I was gonna be able to get the answer.
No.
Okay. Netherlands?
Yes, you get the point.
Okay.
Alright, next question. The asexual pride flag is composed of what color stripes?
Is it purple, black, and white? Is there grey as well? I don't know, but I feel like those are the three primary colors.
Is that your final answer?
Nokia Jai.
I mean, I'll let them give it a shot. I'm sorry, people. Purple, black, white. I don't want to say grey. Is it grey? It's grey? Okay.
Okay, you get the point.
I get the point. I don't know why I rang that again. I'm sorry.
Alright, the last question. Which is the most recent country to recognize same-sex marriage?
Nothing in Bangladesh.
Same-sex marriage in the world.
No, Vietnam.
And Vietnam, I don't think it's Asian country. Is it like can you say Latin American? Can I just say Latin America and just get the point? But let's say Latin America.
Okay, I'll give you half the point. It's Costa Rica.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Alright, then we have your winner. Okay, so to start off, how safe do you or the LGBTQ plus community member feel over the internet?
Personally speaking, I think for me, I've always been very private on the internet. So, privacy. So we don't know that. I do feel relatively safer on the internet to just post whatever I want to. So if I'm posting a new writing or just some pictures, just to share within my friends. I think because all of my accounts are private, very young I had to learn so many different techniques or Facebook or different like settings or Instagram or like Google search. I think I even wrote a few letters or Wikipedia just to like made photos or say your platform but because I think age it was just a space where you go to a program or you go somewhere, they click pictures without your knowledge and post it on the internet. So this space one does feel a bit uncomfortable. So for me, I had to learn that very early. And this was internet since I don't have a very public presence. So
and why is that?
Why is that? There are like different answers or line at the scope. But I think one answer could be because internet is such an open space or private space. So for example, my writings are they're in public space or profile or public but when you talk about my Instagram account, it's private and Facebook if we don't have mutual friends, you can't send friend request or this is how I think maybe because I'm a private person or I grew up to be a private person.
I really struggle between like maintaining the public and private profile. मेरो लागि चाहिँ एज आई सेड कि मेरो यो जर्नी नै इन्टरनेटबाट सुरु भयो होइन मैले भने लाइक मैले आफ्नो बारेमा इन्टरनेटबाट थाहा पाएँ आफू जस्तो मान्छे इन्टरनेटबाट चिनेँ सँगसँगै मेरो करियर पनि इन्टरनेटबाट स्टार्ट भएको हो होइन मैले पनि लाइक सुरुमा चाहिँ मैले भोगेको मैले एजदेखि भयो त्यस्तो मलाई यस्तो भोग्नु पऱ्यो भने चाहिँ इन्टरनेटमा पोस्ट गरिदिन्थेँ होइन मलाई के चाहिँ याद छ भने म एसएलसीसम्म चाहिँ नि अलिकति मेरो प्रोफाइल पनि भनौँ न बच्चा नै थिएँ खासै कसरी पनि हेर्दैन थियो अब चिन्ने मान्छेहरूको 2-4जना मान्छेले 10-20जना मान्छेले हेर्थ्यो होइन त्यसलाई पनि मैले पब्लिकली राख्थेँ कि अब के सक होला होइन त्यसलाई बच्चा बेलाको थाहा भएन तर बिस्तारै एसएलसी पछि चाहिँ कस्तो हुन थाल्यो भने सोसियल एक्टिभिजममा लागेको मान्छेहरूले चाहिँ मेरो प्रोफाइल नोटिस गर्न थाल्यो होइन त्यसपछि चाहिँ मलाई मन नपराउने मान्छेहरू सबै आउट हुँदै गयो अनफ्रेन्ड भयो ब्लक भयो होइन अनि जसले चाहिँ मेरो पोस्टहरू हेरेर चाहिँ मलाई मन पराउनु थाल्यो उहाँहरू चाहिँ सबै भित्रिन थाल्यो होइन त्यसरी चाहिँ म क्रमशः एनजिओ सेक्टरमा लाग्नु पुग्यो भनौँ न अनि इन्टरनेटबाट नै मलाई मान्छेहरूले चाहिँ मेरो कामहरू देखेर चाहिँ मान्छेहरूले मलाई इन्भाइट गराएको छ जस्तै एकचोटि चाहिँ नि मलाई चाहिँ युकेमा फेलोसिपको लागि स्कलरसिप पठाएको थियो होइन मलाई एमएससी इन्टरनेसनलले नोमिनेट गराएको थियो उहाँहरूले पनि मलाई इन्टरनेटमा देख्नु भएको मेरो काम मन पराउनु भयो भनेर भन्नुभयो होइन सो त्यसले चाहिँ मलाई एकदम धेरै फाइदा नै गर्यो लाइक एउटा हिसाबले फाइदा नै गरिरहेको थियो तर अन द अदर डार्कर साइड भनौँ न आई वाज completely like हुन्छ नि posting everything के अब खायो अब रेस्टुरेन्टमा गएर खाद्य फोटो पोस्ट नगरेर चाहिँ म खाने म त्यस्तो खालको मान्छे चाहिँ नि थिएँ के लकडाउनभन्दा अगाडि लकडाउनमा चाहिँ अलिकति आई गट टाइम फर माइसेल्फ हुन्छ नि आई गट लट अफ टाइम बाई माई ओन त्यसपछि चाहिँ कहाँबाट लाइक मलाई चाहिँ एकदम कस्तो भएर फिल भएको कि लाइक म त इच एन्ड एभ्री इन्फर्मेसन हुन्छ नि म कतै जाँदैछु भने सेल्फी चाहिँ ट्राभलिङ टु भनेर राखिरहेको छु होइन अनि यस्तो सोच्दाखेरि त मैले आइम पुटिङ अल अफ माई इन्फर्मेसन आउट देयर भने चाहिँ मैले आई टुक अ भेरी हुन्छ नि भेरी मुटुमाथि ढुङ्गा राखेर चाहिँ आई टुक अ डिसिजन टु डिलिट माई प्रोफाइल फेसबुक प्रोफाइल कम्प्लिटली होइन अनि स्टार्ट न्यू वान कि दे एक्चुली डिड होइन अनि अहिले चाहिँ नि आई अपलोड अन स्टोरिजहरू होइन फ्रेन्ड्सहरूले चाहिँ स्टोरिजहरू हेरेर म चाहिँ के गरिरहेको छु म चाहिँ के खाएको छु झन् सबै स्टोरिजमा लान्छ इट्स टेम्पोररी पनि वान स्टे देयर फर एभर होइन अनि अर्को प्रोफाइल चाहिँ पब्लिकै छ मेरो होइन मेरो रियल काम गर्छु भने पनि पब्लिकै राखेको छु होइन सो द्याट मान्छेहरूले देखेर मेरो पोटेन्सियल हुन्छ नि मेरो कसैले मलाई पोटेन्सियल इम्प्लोय गरिरहेको छ भने चाहिँ नछुट्टियोस् भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ गरेको छु होइन तर त्यो अबाउट द हेट होइन कति हेटफुल छ मेरो लागि भने चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ अलिकति अचम्म चाहिँ के लाग्यो भने मैले चाहिँ त्यति हेट पाएन होइन पाएको थिएँ होइन तर इट वाज सो मिनिमल द्याट आई फरगट होइन मैले 2 वर्ष अगाडि चाहिँ रुकु यो भाइन्स भन्ने एउटा सर्ट भिडियोज नेपाल भाषामा बनाउँथेँ होइन अनि त्यो अलिकति मान्छेहरूले धेरैजना सेयर पनि गरेर हुन्छ कुनै कुनै भिडियोजहरूमा अनि खासै चाहिँ आएन कि लाइक खासै चाहिँ त्यसो हेट कमेन्ट्सहरू आएन विच मेरो लागि पनि अचम्म चाहिँ थियो किनभने कति धेरै ट्रान्सजेन्डर र जेन्डर नन कन्फर्मिङ मान्छेहरूलाई टिकटकमा सोसियल मिडियामा कति नराम्रो कमेन्ट्सहरू आउँछ नि त अनि मलाई चाहिँ एपेरेन्टली त्यस्तो आएन होइन अब ठिकै राम्रै हो नआएको भन्ने होइन
Ruksana and Diya die.
त्यस्तो आएन वाइट केटा आए पनि भन्ने त बिर्सिने खालको याद हुन्छ नि यादमा चाहिँ रहन नसक्ने खालको हिसाबले चाहिँ आयो होला सो त्यही भएर मलाई चाहिँ नि अब त्यो कुरामा मेरो एउटा के भन्छ प्रिभिलेज छ भनेर भनौँ न
I think it also depends on the person in terms of what do you do on the internet, how do you deal with certain comments yeah, so I think there are times when YouTube when I see some random comments that are not towards me but some comments that I feel like are not very sensitive so I don't know, it's so tricky, okay? Just in terms of like personally I've also not had any hate comments thankfully but there's always that fear that some people just might say something or point something and I think the situation I have when I see it will also depend in terms of like how we would react to it. Yeah, because
how important this person is to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm not doing it and I'm saying comment for it. My valuable.
Yeah, true, right?
And then we like them important how a person.
Intensity of the comment.
Right. Then threatening how I was how I do have action.
Just take those measures of if a very public figure says something very transphobic or very homophobic, then you don't make a stand and you be like these or you would make that comment public or reach out to them in a private sphere if they want to talk about it. Or at times I think and there's so much burden, and especially early generation. I think as women and girls, I fear for our young girls because we're trying to build a gender equal society, and especially early girls are like, there's so much pressure, right? You have to grow up and be a certain way, and you don't have to be affiliated with certain feminine things or rules. But what if, like, I imagine, what if a girl wants to grow up to be a nurse, right? And then, or a teacher, and it's such the gendered, the voice getting done, so people are, so there might be some pressure, like there's this pressure to work to be like, no, I know what you want. I feel like there's so much pressure towards women, especially internet for women of different experience, or for example trans women or women within the LGBT community, to always be reactive and reaction. And I think the hate comments are especially where they have to exactly. So it's like, and then there are days where like you just want to just shut off everything and you just want to have your day. And I think people shouldn't be. And at times, the specific community circle friends or they text you like, hey, like, I thought you would say something or do something, right? And I'm like, and you could have easily done that. And it's not just my part in there. So I think it's topical just because like we talk about animal rights, we don't become animals, right? So just because we talk about queer rights does not mean that you're queer. You're just a good human. So
you haven't personally received any hate comments as such, but have your peers or friends like received such comments that you remember that was insensitive or demeaning?
I think there were peers or friends of mine when they comments or they go, but then not necessarily because of their gender identity or sexual orientation, but just because I think internet is such a weird space sometimes. So I think a friend of mine, she posted a picture like with a week. So she had this new dress on, like a very like keep on the comment, and like some of the comments from like some boys were very insensitive. Just they were just commenting in terms of how the dress was draping on her body, which I thought was like, please, and suddenly that's such a funny. But then just talking about the community case, I think like it was such a viral incident where there were certain people and they were targeted, and it was sad to see that there were like people who had very bigger platform or and access going through, and they were just doing, I don't know, but I am in no position to say that videos reaction videos or troll videos. I'm in no position to say that, but I really thought that was very insensitive, just in terms of like, if you want to have the conversation, right, why don't you just bring that person in, right, and then hear both sides of the story. I think that few spaces where you need to hear both sides of the story. I think the dialogue is very important without having the other person just could be and just making such horrific claims or when saying such mean things, right? And it makes me wonder, did you do that for views, just for the clout, right? Or why did you do it? Even TikTok or Nepal. And I think recently there was a social wedding of two gay men. So social wedding, I think they sing the just in terms of how they were performing the ceremony. And it's such a private thing, right? Someone is getting married, it's such a beautiful thing. And they're posting it on the internet because they want their friends to see. And then one news media picks it up, and then other news media picks it up, and then people just like randomly start commenting, not just talking but commenting. So like, oh, sindur layo or tyo garyo, and I'm like, it's their choice and it's how they want to show it to the world. And I think there was this point where I might be completely wrong, but the couple had to come out and just be like, or like, and we don't believe it. They actually made a comment. And I thought that was so unnecessary for them to, it was such a demand, it was space, they had to now be forced to come out and say, make a stand about their private matter. And so again, it's like it's in private, personal or like public because post everybody has the equal access to make comments. But that was something that I remember and which I thought was like very off-putting.
मान्छेको जीवन त कस्तो कस्तो नै हुन्छ नि त हैन अब त लाइक हुन्छ नि अब मान्छेको सम्बन्धहरुलाई पनि युट्युबमा ल्याएर गर्ने होइन अब हुन त एउटा मिडियाले त जुन दबिरहेको आवाज लुकिरहेको आवाजलाई अगाडि ल्याउन मद्दत गर्छ जुन सकारात्मकै हो जुन हुनुपर्छ मिडियाको पहुँच होइन सञ्चार माध्यमको पहुँच धेरैमा हुने भएको सकारात्मक कुरा हो तर त्यसलाई त्यो माध्यमलाई चाहिँ अहिले चाहिँ एकदम नकारात्मक रूपमा प्रयोग भएर चाहिँ मान्छेहरूको व्यक्तिगत जिन्दगीलाई नै माने गएर चाहिँ हुन्छ नि मेरो विचारमा त कतिपय यो जुन अन्तर्वार्ता भनिन्छ नि त्यो एकदमै अनैतिक ढङ्गले गरिरहेको हुन्छ होइन अब जस्तै भनौँ यो गे कपल्सहरूमा कति धेरै उहाँहरूले सोसियल मिडिया गर्नुभएको छ ठिकै छ स्ट्रेट कपलहरू पनि त्यस्तै नै गर्छ सोसियल मिडियामा स्ट्रेट कपलहरू पनि आफ्नो फोटोहरू त बिहे गरेको 1-2 महिनासम्म पनि हालेछ स्ट्रेट कपलहरू गर्छ स्ट्रेट कपलहरूले पनि तर लाइक अब जुन अब हुन्छ नि एलजीबीटीआई कपल्सहरू छ भने अब इन्टरभ्यू दिन जान्छ सधैँ पनि अब तपाईँहरू कसरी यौन सम्पर्क गर्छ नि तपाईँहरूको कसरी हुन्छ चाहिने कुराहरू र भनेर लाइक त्यो इन्फर्मेसन लिएर तपाईँले गर्नु चाहिँ के हुन्छ कि लाइक वाट इज द युज अफ द्याट इन्फर्मेसन फर यु होइन त्यस्तो कुराहरू पनि हो है मलाई चाहिँ नि त्यही भएर चाहिँ एकदमै डर लाग्छ कि किनभने मलाई पनि कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ होइन लाइक फोन आइरहेको हुन्छ अनि म चाहिँ सोचिहाल्छु लाइक को मान्छे हो होइन अनि किन मलाई बोलाइरहेको छ अनि त्यो म चाहिँ उहाँहरूको पहिला योभन्दा अगाडि लिएको इन्टरभ्युजहरू पनि पहिला चेक गर्छु अनि त्यसपछि मात्रै हो कि नभए त लाइक
Yeah, I mean, it's just one episode for the person, you know, like for the media, or one comment for a random person. But for the other person that they're receiving, and it's their entire life, you know. I mean, it doesn't end with one episode, or it doesn't end with one comment. You go back home, you live in that same society, and those things, they couple up. Your gender identity or your sexual orientation, it just becomes this massive thing, and your entire identity just boils down to that one thing. A person could be, known by the profession, could be known by, like their family acquaintance, or there's so many different ways to know a person, right? But it just, now they're just this person, so they're this gay couple, or like the viral jodi, or their whole life revolves around that. I mean, I think that's, as you said, very scary. Now you do an interview and that tag is there for the rest of your life, and how do you cover your emotional scars of it? So I think that's very scary.
So why do you think are people hateful over the internet?
इन्टरनेटमा भन्दा पनि मान्छे हेटफुल नै हो कि हाम्रो समाजले अवहेलनापूर्ण छ भने त्यो समाजकै मान्छे इन्टरनेटमा आएको हो त्यही भएर इन्टरनेट पनि अवहेलनापूर्ण छ अब डियाले भने जस्तै कति कुराहरू इन्टरनेटमा सरल पनि हुनसक्छ जस्तै मान्छे हाम्रो अगाडि आएर मुख छाडेर जानुभन्दा इन्टरनेटमा एउटा गोप्य पहिचान बनाएर चाहिँ मुख छाडेर जानुमा अलिकति सहजता होला उनीहरूलाई
Absolutely, and I think it's also because of that, for example, for a queer kid, they might not feel very alone when they're on the internet, is because they see so many role models. In a very similar way, if someone has a certain differing opinion, and they're like, you say galat ho hai, and there's this other person who has the same opinion, so like some form of solidarity, and I think that gives away like why people might be more hateful. It's just in terms of like there is this power in strengthening group or something along the way. And I think people sometimes might be more hateful on the internet more than in real life.
Okay, so our last question for this episode: how and why is it important to create safe space on the internet for the sexual and gender minorities?
I think it's very important. Okay, how and why? Okay, there's two questions there. About why, I think it's very given, right? Because it's a public space. I mean, like any public space and any public sphere, it should be safe for everyone. Since we have equal access to equal opportunity, everyone should feel safe. So there is no special measures or say this is like privilege or equality. Internet should be a safe space for everyone. On this, how I think it starts with an individual start just in terms of like how do you use that space. But I think we also give so much emphasis on the individual, okay? Like but then there are so many different policies also, just in terms of like policy in state level and then there is policy of the app that you're using as well. For example, YouTube or Facebook, there's so much censorship in terms of queer writers or queer content creators, or let's say there's so much censorship. it's a battle that's been going on since 2015, where I think in 2017, if you had the word LGBTQI plus community or any affiliation to that, demonetized by that, okay? And there were so many queer content creators who were living off of that, right? So that just gave them a back push. And so it also is on the individual, that is always there, but it's also on the policy makers and people in authority and power. I think they know.
इन्टरनेट भनेको हाम्रो समाजकै प्रतिबिम्ब हो, समाजभन्दा फरक छैन। सो सामाजिक परिवर्तन भयो भने बल्ल बिस्तारै जब समाजमा मान्छेहरुमा स्वीकारोक्ति बढ्छ अनि जब मान्छेहरुमा जनचेतना अभिवृद्धि हुन्छ तब चाहिँ नि अब क्रमशः अवस्था चाहिँ सुध्रिँदै जान्छ जस्तो लाग्छ। कतिपय अब नीतिगत तहमा पनि गर्न सकिन्छ होला हैन, तर मलाई चाहिँ के पनि लाग्छ भने सबै कुराले अपराधीकरण गरेर समस्या समाधान हुँदैन के। अब कसैले चाहिँ मलाई एकदम ट्रान्सफोबिक हुन्छ नि गाली गलौज गर्यो, ल मैले उसलाई मुद्दा हालेर मैले उसलाई 3 महिना 1 वर्ष जेल हालेँ, त्यसपछि के त त्यो मान्छेको सोच परिवर्तन भएर जेलमा हालेर त्यो मान्छे 1 लाख तले त्यतिखेर बाहिर निस्कियो, त्यो मान्छेको सोचमा परिवर्तन भयो त भएन नि। कसरी चाहिँ हामी हुन्छ नि एउटा नीतिगत तह चाहिँ महत्त्वपूर्ण चाहिँ छ, किनभने म व्यक्तिगत तर्फबाट मैले जति गर्न सक्दिनँ नीतिगत तहबाट चाहिँ नेपाल सरकारले गरे पनि देशैभरि हैन 77 जिल्लामा पुग्छ नि, नीतिगत तह महत्त्वपूर्ण छ। तर एउटा त्यो अपराधीकरण गर्ने हुन्छ नि ल, यसो भयो भने चाहिँ नि यसलाई एकमेकमै जेल पठाउन सक्थ्यो। त्यो अपराधीकरण गर्ने दृष्टिकोणबाट मात्रै हेर्नु हुँदैन, त्यसलाई कसरी रोक्ने त भन्दा हाम्रो शिक्षामा राख्नु पर्यो, विद्यालयमा अध्ययन अध्यापन गराउनु पर्यो हैन। विद्यालय अध्ययन अध्यापन गराउने भन्दाखेरि एकचोटि सन् 2012 मा चाहिँ सोशल स्टडिजमा चाहिँ एलजीबीटीआई भनेर राखेको थियो रे हैन। मैले चाहिँ देख्न पाएँ समाजमा सुनेको थिएँ, कसरी भन्दा एल बनाइयो, जी बनाइयो, बी बनाइयो, टी बनाइयो, आई बनाइयो भने के कसरी चाहिँ शिक्षाको माध्यमबाट जुन अहिले एलजीबीटीआई व्यक्तिहरुतर्फ जुन प्रकारको विवेकपूर्ण जुन प्रकारको अवहेलनापूर्ण धारणा छ हाम्रो समाजमा त्यो धारणालाई कसरी परिवर्तन गर्ने र परिवर्तन उन्मुख प्रकारको शिक्षा ल्याइदिउँ न हैन। त्यस्तो खालको प्रकारको ल्याइदियो भने चाहिँ नि मेरो विचारमा कालान्तर रूपमा हुन्छ नि अर्को अब यो अहिलेको शिक्षामा ल्यायो भने अब पछिको 10 वर्षमा त्यसले असर देखाउला। मेरो विचारमा चाहिँ अलिकति चाहिँ परिवर्तनको हिसाबले चाहिँ त्यो महत्त्वपूर्ण हुन्छ होला। कतिपय कुराहरू चाहिँ अब आफू कतिपय मान्छेहरू कस्तो भन्छ भने हामी सानोमा यस्तै समाजमा हुर्केको हो भनेर भन्छ कि 20-30 वर्षको मान्छेहरू पनि अब यो कति 20-30 वर्ष हुर्किसकेपछि ल 12-13 वर्षसम्म म हुर्किँदैछु भनेर भने त अब 20-30 वर्षपछि तिमी त हुर्किसक्यो होइन। तिमीलाई जन्मिँदैखेरि त मोबाइल यसरी चलाउने भनेर सायद कतिपयको हाम्रो आमा बुवाले त मोबाइल चलाउन सिकाएको होइन होला नि, बरु हामीले नै आमा बुवालाई चाहिँ मोबाइल चलाउन यसरी चलाउनु भनेर सिकायो होला नि। त्यस्तो गर्न सक्ने मान्छेहरूले यस्तो अब भनौँ न अङ्ग्रेजीमा पहुँच छ होला तपाईँको होइन, र नेपालीमा पनि थोरै बहुत सामग्रीहरू छ, इन्टरनेटमा गएर त आफै हेर्न सकिन्छ नि होइन। आफूलाई कसरी शिक्षित बनाउने त्यो व्यक्तिगत तौरबाट पनि एउटा हुन्छ नि एकाउन्टेबिलिटी हुन्छ नि, त्यो चाहिँ हुनुपर्छ, त्यो चाहिँ महत्त्वपूर्ण छ अनि मात्रै परिवर्तन हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ त्यस्तो लाग्छ।
एक्ज्याक्टली त्यति मात्र भनेर पनि आई थिङ्क समाजमा चेन्ज आयो भने इन्टरनेटमा चेन्ज आउँछ भन्ने देयर इज नो ग्यारेन्टी बिकज it's overlapping, same होइन, it's overlapping. Everything in the internet is so individualized and personalized, right? So त्यो हिसाबमा there is this bigger thing that's happening हुन्छ नि where जसलाई चाहिँ जे मनपर्छ or like जे एउटा ओपिनियन भइरहेछ त्यही ओपिनियनलाई चाहिँ अझ स्ट्रेन्थन गर्नलाई त्यो फिडहरू दिइरहेछ। So for example, if someone might have a very not so friendly attitude towards the queer community र उसले त्यस्तै 2-3 कन्टेन्टमा इन्गेज गरेको छ भने like there needs to be an accountability from the platform, that those contents are not curated to the person. But I think there is no check and balance. So, like for me, I'm very sure about my opinion. I'm sure about who I am as a person. And those might not impact me and affect me, right? But if someone who does not have a very strong idea or grasp, it does give them their opinion shape गरिहाल्छ नि।
जति पनि हामीहरू अहिले सोसियल मिडिया युज गर्छौँ त्यो सबै युएस बेस छ भनेर भनौँ न एउटा हिसाबबाट। अनि अब हामी त नेपालमा छौँ, इभन नेपालको स्टेटले ट्राई गरे पनि त कतिको टेर्न सक्ला होइन। फेसबुक एउटा जायन्ट कम्पनी हो नेपाल सरकारले चाहिँ ल फेसबुकको लाइक सर्टेन कुराहरू छन् यो चाहिँ नि अब केही गलत भयो होइन फर इक्जाम्पल भने चाहिँ कतिको फेसबुकलाई कन्ट्रोल बनाउन सक्छ होइन नेपाल सरकार आफैले होइन भन्ने त्यो कुरा एकदम महत्त्वपूर्ण हुन्छ। मेरो विचारमा प्लेटफर्मको कुरा गर्दाखेरि पनि यो प्लेटफर्मको पनि कति धेरै कुरा जस्तै भयो फेसबुकको रियल नेम पोलिसी भनौँ न होइन, तपाईँको रियल नेम हुनुपर्छ रियल नेम के हो भन्दाखेरि तपाईँको नागरिकता तपाईँको पासपोर्टमा भएको नाम चाहिँ तपाईँको रियल नेम हो होइन अब हामी पारडैगिक व्यक्तिहरू नेपालमा भनौँ न नेपाललाई कति धेरै के भन्छ सञ्चार माध्यममा चाहिँ नेपाल एकदम एलजिबिटिआई फ्रेन्डली देश हो भनेर छापिरहेको हुन्छ नि यस्तो इस्यु छ नि फ्रेन्डली भनेर भन्छ नेपाल जस्तो देशमा भनौँ न चाहिँ सर्वोच्च अदालतले 3-4 पढेर आदेश जारी गरिसक्यो कि लैङ्गिक पहिचान अनुसारको नागरिकता दियो होइन तर जहिले पनि नाम परिवर्तन नेपालमा चाहिँ नि कसरी मान्छेले आफ्नो आइडी कार्डमा नागरिकतामा नाम परिवर्तन गर्न मिल्दैन भनौँ न होइन अब कोही मान्छे चाहिँ नि अब महिला भनेर चाहिँ आफूलाई चिनाइरहेको छ त्यसरी प्रस्तुत भइरहेको छ उहाँको नागरिकतामा चाहिँ पुरुष भनेर छ त्यस्तै खालको नाम छ भने त उसले त त्यो नागरिकता त्यहाँबाट भेरिफाई गरेर त यो तिम्रो नागरिकता होइन भनेर भनिदिन्छ होइन अनि त्यस्तो खालको कुराहरू कति धेरै पोलिसिजहरू जुन अब हुन्छ नि अब प्राइभेसीदेखि लिएर कति धेरै कुराहरू चाहिँ यो टेक जाइन्ट्स अनि त्यसले उनीहरूलाई पनि अब हामीले अकाउन्टेबल चाहिँ गराउनु पर्छ.
All right. I would like to thank you, ladies, for being here and sharing your opinions.
Thank you for having us.
Just to reiterate on the GGE campaign again, Girls Get Equal is a global campaign demanding power, freedom, and representation for girl and young women. To learn more about the campaign, you can click the link in the description down below. For this campaign, after solidarity dekhauनको लागि, you can also sign the open letter, which urges Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and our government to work on ending harassment on online platforms. So let's stand up against online abuse and harassment. And again, I would like to thank you so much for gracing our show. As part of our tradition, our partners have sent you some campaign merchandise, and I would like to give it to you.
Please.
Okay, thank you so much for gracing our show. As part of our tradition, our partners have sent you some campaign merchandise.
Thank you.
So this is from ChildSafeNet and Plan International. Wow, I got t-shirt from Girls Get Equal campaign t-shirt. Also, the cool days of it.
So there we go. Girls get equal, and then girls get equal. Oh, sorry. There we go. Girls get equal.
Alright, so thank you so much. Any last words for our viewers?
No, I think like okay, if I have to say something serious.
No, I'm not serious.
I was like, I'm going back to that zone and just like.
Alright, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for stopping me for the content.